What's the plan?
How the hell am I supposed to know?
You're the leader. You're supposed to be decisive.
And I've decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks.
If this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
Why would someone put penises all over the beach?
Who knows why madmen do what they do?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Hello, hello, all you gigalos. Welcome to Garbage In, Garbage Out. I'm your host, Kelton, and I'm joined, as always, by my amazing co-host, Grift. How's it going, buddy?
It's good. Still locked in the shop. We got the New York City move coming up next week, so looking forward to this podcast turning into a elite versus Texas, I guess, rivalry.
Hey, no, we can just say East Coast versus Gulf Coast. It's okay. We'll meet up in Florida in the true sign of compromise at some point and work through our differences. But joining us this week for the season 2 finale of Gigo is Grimm from the Greatest Depression Project. Grimm, how's it going?
Great. How you doing?
Life could always be better. I'm fascinated, though, by the name of your project. Would you mind telling us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's going to be a deep dive on different aspects of the Great Depression. A lot of citations going through history, kind of aiming for something dense and produced.
Awesome.
More than casual talk. So meant to keep 30 minutes to an hour to keep people's attention for as long as I would really want them to.
It's interesting because I think whenever people are covering topics of history, especially that have a real importance, that it always blows my mind the people that are able to devote actual time, energy, and resources towards legitimate research instead of my kind of fuck around happy hour attitude towards it, because my brain is just incapable of taking anything genuinely and being able to do any good work with that. So I have to commend you on that. That's why we invited you onto this dumb movie podcast. So my apologies in advance.
No, this is great.
Awesome. Well, this week we are going to be talking about James Gunn's and DCEU's The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with the 2016 Suicide Squad. This one is not sequel, but a sequel. The basic premise of it is that Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a bunch of other people from the Belle Reve prison join Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. They're dropped off onto this enemy-infested island called Corto Maltese to destroy a Nazi-era laboratory that holds a secret experiment known as Project Starfish. Gee, I wonder what Starfish could stand for. Who's to know? It's kind of what you saw in the trailers is exactly what you're getting with the movie. So I don't feel like we're sold a false bill of goods here. What did y'all think about the film?
I thought it was definitely a calculated use of like the DC visual aesthetics, with definitely heightened up to an R rating compared to their normal superhero universe stuff, and then just sort of fed through the Marvel character quip machine. I know, Kelton, you had done some documentation on like just how many of the crew of the production in pretty much all the different areas, like it's just pretty much all it's all coming up Marvel.
Listen, man, I didn't want to be that guy, but like the second I was like, I wonder who the cinematographer is, I wonder who the editor is, costume design, makeup, second unit, art director, production design, set decorations. Oh my God, it's all Marvel. He just cherry picked people either directly from Guardians of the Galaxy or from other Marvel movies that have come out recently, and so it just blows my mind because this is a Marvel movie that has the DC reskin over it.
Yep.
That's
okay. Pretty much it. Yeah, no need for any more podcasts.
All right, thanks everyone. Time for plugs.
There is a little bit of like bad 70s action, but a lot of the bad elements of said bad 70s action was transported into it as well.
I know Gunn has talked about this movie as being an homage to 70s war movies, and I hate when people use that terminology, especially in the superhero subgenre, because maybe you had like one shot that was kind of an homage, but I didn't get really a 70s war movie vibe from it whatsoever. I've also seen people describe this as like a big budget trauma movie, and I also didn't think that it was a trauma
I didn't
movie.
get that vibe.
No. I mean, I thought that there were certain James Gunn isms in it, but it wasn't anything particularly unique. I thought, oh wow, that the whatever it's called, the admin people have a personality. It would be great if I hadn't already seen these exact character types in The Cabin in the Woods, but it's fine. I guess.
I literally wrote down in my notes about the betting scene, betting Cabin in the Woods, because it was literally pretty much the exact same office dynamic of the of the deep state in this case, like the sort of supervillain bad guy containment like branch of the U.S. Expanded U.S. military intelligence, like branches that would result from like superheroes being in the world. So it felt a lot of like both like sort of making fun of the incompetent deep state, but also just casually having the Suicide Squad do a pretty much just like a My Lai massacre of a village when they
it's a comedic beat though. Come on. Yeah. It's good.
It's like, wasn't the point of the 70s and 80s war movies when the characters did that was like, whoa, this is fucked up. But here it's like, this is funny. They're just walking through and he's like stabbing a sleeping guy multiple times up the abdomen with a knife. Like, oh, this is a comedic bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, you see, that's actually the trauma somehow. Yeah. I'm having my cake and eating it too. So I guess to before we dive into the actual plot, to give a little bit of backstory here, as we all know, James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. He's going to be directing 3. Meanwhile, DC's original Suicide Squad movie was directed, air quotes around that a little bit, by David Ayer, who released a finished project to DC, who then submitted his movie to the trailer company that cut the first trailer for Suicide Squad, and they said, hey, how about you re-edit this? They did, and then they said they needed 10 weeks of reshoots, and then David Ayer was forced to do that. He wasn't happy about it. What came out as a result was that bastardized version of kind of serving two masters, a bit of massive tonal shifts. And then he subsequently got booted from the sequel to Suicide Squad, and as well as the Gotham City Sirens project, which of course became Birds of Prey. And meanwhile, James Gunn was getting fired by Disney because a troll campaign by Mike Cernovich was talking about how James Gunn was a pedophile. Do we remember that?
Yep.
It really worked out well. I love a troll campaign that just instead gets a director another movie deal. Congratulations.
Talk about putting less conservatives in Hollywood. Like, seriously, didn't exactly the grift did not pan out there. As
we've seen, especially with how James Gunn's comments have aged as he's going and doing pressers, and DC is not tying into the Disney mandates the way that Marvel certainly does. So he's saying these like stupid fucking things, like trying to pick fights with Martin Scorsese, and then talking about how like no one actually watches movies really in theaters. They remember their home viewing experiences instead. It just a whole bunch of stuff that is, I don't know. The best comparison I have is like watching Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots versus Tom Brady in Tampa, of where like it's two very different people. One is like much more loose and is willing to shoot from the hip and say just dumb, cringy things.
Well, he won Super Bowls in both places. So
hey, shut up about that,
okay? Yeah, here he got to do the Marvel movies, and then he got fired over. I guess like cancel culture comes and eats the left's own alive, because that seems like to be the pattern of these troll campaigns. It's to like incite the wokies into running someone out of out of access to production capital. And if like I really didn't pay much attention to it when it was going on at the time. Like I remember seeing it on the various trending topics or whatever, like, oh, this person who's worked on Marvel is getting canceled because of old tweets or something. But like just sort of thinking about it from what their grand strategy of it is, like they were trying to, like the right wing I guess like accounts that were spreading it, they weren't gonna cancel them by their own actions. It was like inciting a woke mob into taking them down.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, they were trying to just be the spark that would light something up, and then it did for like a day and a half, and then Disney panicked, and then they fired them, and then they like a month later they were like, we're so sorry, please come back, please direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, babe, we didn't mean it, it's okay, you just had like some edgy tweets, it's okay, I forgive you, you're just a podcaster at heart, it's fine, you didn't mean to say those slurs.
They got mad at James Gunn for the one time he was funny.
Yeah, we've seen what like new James Gunn thinks is funny, Harley Quinn saying 69 and having live fast die clown on her jacket, like, yeah, wow, oh, this is great. Real like 2014 Deadpool humor, I think.
Yeah, I've written down in my notes like 69 like several times just across the top of the page, like I'm fucking Jack Nicholson typing out the same thing over and over again, in response to like, oh, this is the level of humor we're going for here.
Well, and it is weird because James Gunn has talked about how he wanted this movie to be different than Guardians of the Galaxy. And in fact, that he's gone to say that the teams couldn't be more different because one contains heroes that fight for good. And the Suicide Squad, they're made up of villains and killers. And my main criticism of that is that if every villain has a tragic backstory and then it becomes a sympathetic character, you're not really keeping them as villains and killers necessarily, especially if you're just highlighting them where they're fighting bad guys, quote unquote.
It also needs to be addressed that he's lying on the Guardians of the Galaxy end too. Like Quill is a friggin' thief. The Rocket just kills people. That's his only real skill.
Yeah.
Like,
how many planets? How many planets has Gamora genocided?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's the over under on that? Like, but my dad was mean to me one time, but now I'm good. See, it's fine.
Yeah, it's funny how like Disney can propagate the normalcy of these violent narratives, yet like they feign weakness at a slightest like one day online kerfuffle over someone who directed their incredibly financially successful project said. It's like the disparity between that makes it either they're like really fucking stupid or they're playing a grander game. There.
They really thought like, well, who needs James Gunn? We have good old Joss Whedon. Yep, that's right. Joss Whedon, person that we will be able to rely on until eternity happens.
Yeah, now that is a true male feminist. They're not going to get canceled. If you got Joss Whedon in your corner with the t-shirt on, that's
he never made pedophile jokes. Not on Twitter.
He just did it.
Yeah.
He's a man of action.
Oh man, I mean, and I guess that is something to think about, is that the as many faults necessarily as this movie has, I mean, I still enjoyed it and I think it is capably shot. I thought the special effects department, Weta Digital knocked it out of the park again for a lot of their character designs. So I mean, there's a lot to like about this movie. And I have a feeling that in any other director's hands, I would have a lot more negative notes. And so my issues with this film are mostly that it's created a blueprint that I think there's going to be a bunch of shitty knockoffs of. Similarly, like when Tarantino first stepped onto the scene, there were 1,000 different knockoffs of him. Like, what was that one movie. I think it was called like Pool Hall Junkies or something. It's about like a bunch of people in a pool hall, but they're all like working toughs. And then it's just like slur, misogyny, but not in like the cool or fun ways, but in the like I'm living in the 90s and I think I can get away with it.
Yeah, like when you boil down those elements to just that, like it doesn't work. You need someone like Tarantino to hone them through, to like refine it in a way that is like actually clever, as opposed to just like, oh, I'm saying a slur. Oh, I'm using misogynistic humor. Like there's a reason those are still funny, but it's gotta actually have an inventive way to use it, just like any other form of humor.
And in fact, I've decided in my head as I was looking through the cast and crew, because while the cinematographer, or I believe cinematographer and maybe the editor, I forget at the moment, but while they did do Guardians of the Galaxy, they were also the person that did work on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so I choose to think that inside them lives two wolves. And one of them is a giant purple or blue space alien evil. And then the other one is Leonardo DiCaprio with a flamethrower. So let's do it, I guess.
Do you want to just like rattle off, Kelton, just all of the connections between this and Marvel, just to like hammer home at like what because like the list here in the docket is just like truly impressive. Just
yeah. I know. I just kind of mentioned the positions beforehand, but yeah, I guess before we dive into the recap, let's set the stage here. The director is, of course, James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy. The writer is James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy. Cinematographer from Guardians of the Galaxy. Editor from Guardians of the Galaxy. Costume design from Guardians of the Galaxy. Makeup from Guardians of the Galaxy. Second unit, for anyone, again, who's unaware, I like to view this podcast as also a little bit educational for kind of being able to look inside a movie and figure out the mechanics of it. The second unit, specifically the ones that were shooting the action scenes and things, that is a mashup of people who are from Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man Homecoming. So just a fun smorgasbord there. The art director came from Thor Ragnarok. The production designer came from Captain Marvel, and set decorations came from Iron Man 3. So just a fun time across the board, I think.
And like obviously it's funny just how redundant that is, particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like as far as like capeshit goes, like this is probably the best one I've seen in years. And there were a lot of relatively strong entries in the first wave of the Marvel canon. They're like, Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a good movie. Like Thor Ragnarok, that's definitely like the best of the Thor movies by far. And
oh my God,
it actually has like inventive use of like music with the characters and visuals. So you could definitely see the DNA of all of those successes in this one. And that's why it's like, this is like a technically competent, good movie. It's just, you can see the strings of the pieces it was assembled from.
Yes.
And one way that was sort of like driven home was like the way they described James Gunn in the marketing as like from the beautifully twisted mind of James Gunn. It's like just like, I mean, and now like you hate to do like the Twitter Avi like physiognomy check, but like if you look at his Twitter Avi, like this is a guy who's definitely, you could like it seems like he's up his own ass at this point, combined with what the marketing is saying there.
He's not beautifully twisted. I would just say from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy comes an R-rated version of a DC take on Guardians of the Galaxy, and then just go. You know
what it reminds me of? I had a coworker who came up to me once, and I was listening to a podcast or something in my office. They went into my office, they heard it, and I hit pause, and they kind of laughed, and they were like, "You know what? I'm in some really sick shit too." And I was like, "Yeah, really? Like what?" And they were like, "You 2.5 Men."
Whoa,
like, that's
crazy.
the same vibe.
What were you listening to that he was like, I get real sick, twisted 2.5 Men vibes from this?
At the time, I think it was probably Jimmy Dore, honestly. It was like 2014, 2015.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everybody's favorite podcaster on Team Evil. being thrown around. It's like, yo, if you're relating to like media personalities from afar on that, I mean, this is a whole other tangent, but on that, sort of emotional level, like, what are we doing here?
Well, I think it was an old episode of Comedy and Everything Else. It wasn't even political. It was just him like bullshitting with Todd Glass.
What was that drill tweet that was like from the sick, twisted mind of the inventor of Dr. Pepper or something? It works. It works.
Yeah. Yet again, the modern version of the Oracle of Delphi is proven correct.
So I think now is as good a time as any, of course, for us to dive into the recap of it, which one thing I'll say up top, for anyone who's seen the movie and then is listening to the recap and is thinking, hey, you got that thing out of sequence. My response is, fuck you. No, I didn't. This movie has 9 different 8 minutes ago rewind the clock set pieces take place. So I'm going full chronological with this, baby.
Probably the reason too people would call you out on that is I just come in and just completely jump around, just like we're starting the beginning of the recap and I'm jumping to like connecting it to themes at the end. So I will hold myself accountable for my responsibility here with that lack of linear dialogue, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad we're taking this stand now with the Suicide Squad and not before with like the Green Knight or something a little bit more esoteric. It's important that we're choosing when to pick our battles here. The Suicide Squad, which I think still should have been called Suicide Squad 2 or Newicide Squad or Twoicide Squad, or hear me out, another Suicide Squad. Ooh, all those titles could have worked, I think, better.
How about Rebooticide Squad?
Ooh, see, that I really like that one, but I think if we get a third movie with yet another different Marvel director, we'll probably go that route instead.
Yeah, because it's bombing at the box office, so they're probably going to reboot it the third time now.
Hey, it can work, baby. We'll bring back Rick Flag again. That's right, no questions asked.
He totally didn't get stabbed in the heart.
So this thing starts as like a sequel-y non-sequel, so we get like 30 seconds of refresher and we're immediately thrown into the story. So I do enjoy how we're kind of hitting the ground running in that we see that there's a team of folks led by Waller's subordinate Colonel Rick Flag. They are hopping out onto the beach. There's a sequence like at the very, very beginning where we see Michael Rooker in prison while Johnny Cash's Folksome Prison Blues plays, which was just a real kind of hat on a hat moment for me. Because, man, for someone who's known to have such a creative soundtrack, I thought, oh, okay, so this is what we're getting instead. We're just keyword name searching song titles to fit into the movie. Great. Michael Rooker is introduced as a bit of a badass of sorts. He is there through the exposition. He lands, or he goes up in the helicopter with them, and they land on the beach. And they have to dive out of the helicopter and land in the water at night and then swim towards the island. Just immediately, one of them drowns. It's Weasel. No one checked to see if Weasel could swim. So I thought that was just delightful, especially knowing that Weasel is played by Sean Gunn, who is James Gunn's brother. And so it's just nice to see that there's some family loyalty until the end.
Yeah, I enjoyed all the comedic beats about how just incompetent the deep state was. Like they just, pluck Weasel out of his cell. It's like, didn't it say like he ate like 20 something children?
That's right.
Yeah. So, either, just due to incompetence or the lack of care for their prisoners, they're just going to throw them out there. No idea whether you can swim or not. Just immediately drowns.
and here's my follow-up question. What was Weasel going to do? What?
He was going to eat people. He was going to eat people in like the village that they just kill every man, woman, and child at.
Hey, I guess it works. I'm just thinking, like, not a lot of innocent kids on that war-torn island. So best of luck to Weasel.
Oh yeah, they were killing him regardless. Remember, these are dangerous people.
And I forget. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of them is played by Pete Davidson, so I couldn't really believe that they were that dangerous.
Oh no, not them. The people on the island.
Oh yes, that's right.
Corto Maltesians.
Corto Maltese. Yeah.
I love the DC fake countries still. That and the fucking Sokovia Accords over in Marvel. Just they're gonna keep on. We're rolling with it, huh?
I like to in my headcanon, in my like alternate history headcanon, I like to think that like Corto Maltese came about from like the Knights of Malta colonizing somewhere in the Caribbean, and then
I mean they might as well have colonized the island. I mean it's like conquistadors with Cuba, you know?
Yeah,
like
I was just thinking Cuba the whole time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like a Cuba stand-in, and then you could have had Buttigieg's dad be the general.
That's why there's no dogs on the island.
Yeah, the real Marxist as the revolutionary general, and then his slick neoliberal son comes in and just gets stabbed to death after getting like making a marriage proposal.
Hey, some people just can't handle rejection. It's the way it goes. So Pete Davidson, he plays Blackguard. He's apparently sold everyone out, though. He immediately gets shot in the face. I was like, hell yeah, take that, Pete Davidson, or whatever your character is called. I don't know. I hate his whole shtick. So
I was so
nice
excited. You have no idea how happy it made me to be. Okay, good.
I was like, no matter what, this movie is at least getting 1 star. Okay. let's keep the tally here as it goes.
You got to see Pete Davidson's entire face blown off. Like that's at least worth like the first 10 minutes of streaming on HBO Max to see.
Oh
if
my
you like
God,
it.
yeah. The first 10 minutes, which will only take you 12 and a half minutes to watch due to the stopping and starting that takes place on their goddamn TV app.
Yeah, but if you watch it on their mobile app, it never crashes. So I think we have to do a big eye emoji into where they're pushing media consumption. It's all going smaller. It's all going handheld. They put their alpha team on the mobile development versus fucking like Bad News Bears over on the web app side.
It's just so fun. I know people are probably tired of us shitting all over HBO Max, but my response to that is they're a multinational billion-trillion-dollar company. Fuck y'all. Like, we're going to have some fun at the fact that they can't program a basic app to run. So
yeah, they're one of the 6 corporate conglomerates that like control all media narratives. So excuse us while we go off on them for a bit.
Yeah, their inability to hire good programmers has ruined many a Gossip Girl viewing for myself.
And even worse, it's the Gossip Girl reboot too, where they're all woke and diversified and they're conscious about their privilege.
Yeah, they feel guilty.
Yeah.
As they fucking should.
I hate that my dad is the CEO of this rich company, but I love money so much. I have a drug problem because of my guilt. That's my struggle this season, I guess, that I have to overcome. Whatever. Fuck the whole premise of it.
Gossip Girl, my struggle. That's the tagline for the 2nd season of the reboot. Oh no, you know what? Not gonna do it. I'm just saying instead of XOXO, it could just be HH over. Just 2 lightning bolt emojis for like the social media campaign.
HHSS. There you go. Yeah.
Oh no.
Gossip Girl. Beautiful. We're not even through like the beach sequence here. It's going to be a fun episode. So Mongal, who is in the comics, the child of Mongol who can take on Superman, she just gets wrecked by a helicopter that she tries to jump and bring down. And then the helicopter goes into the trees that, Mashishka Bob's Captain Boomerang several thousand times, and then he dies in the explosion. So R.I.P. to an alum. Then we have the detachable kid played by Nathan Fillion, who has just the lamest superpower of all time. So that's for the record, 2 cannon fodder members of the team that now exist. So good news on this elite squad. And then we have Javelin, who's played by one of those German guys who was in the Pitch Perfect movie, he has a javelin. And the javelin is more of a character in this movie than he is. So that's a fun little trivia tidbit.
Yeah, he just ends up with like a chest full of bullets. Just in time to give the Chekhov's javelin to Harley Quinn.
Might as well just happen in this case. Michael Rooker, who was introduced again as like this badass, he gets scared. He then tries to swim away. His head gets blown off. So there's our obligatory, like, I guess the bombs are real. The bombs do work here. Let's set the stakes. All right, time to roll credits or roll whatever title card. There we go. That's the right term. What did we think about the redesigns with Rick Flag and Harley Quinn? Did y'all like this version of them more, less? What's up?
I just think that Harley Quinn could have something much better than "Live Fast, Die Clown" written on the back of her like jumpsuit thing. Like, come on! You seriously have like a whole writer's room, and that's the best you can think of.
I mean, you could even have a jacket that says Joker with it crossed out to then say joke ass or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a huge improvement.
Again, that was right off the top. You don't have to pay me $185 million to come up with these designs, you know?
Yeah, that's a Grift Shop special right there. You know, like give me a couple hours Adobe Illustrator and an internet connection, and yeah, like you have no idea what you're missing.
I mean, I really like this version of Rick Flag. By the way, he just seemed like he was a little bit more jovial, and he was aware of being an action hero type, and so it didn't look like he was detoxing from opioid addiction like in the first movie. So
yeah, I liked how they had the first group just march in front of like the gigantic American flag and then just immediately get their brains blown out.
It's symbolism, Grift.
Yeah.
Don't you understand the subtlety of it all?
Yeah, find the metaphor. But no, like that was definitely an effective sequence, and like I enjoyed that. Like entrance fake out, because like oh this is the Suicide Squad we're getting introduced to, you know, they have the heartfelt or sort of revealing of vulnerability moment for the guy with like the long blonde hair who gets his head blown off, just like, oh, he's trapped in his cell, he's an outcast, he's throwing his ball and killing birds because he's lashing out at the world, and then just immediately gets his head blown off to establish that the deep state, you know, while they may be incompetent, they aren't fucking around here.
No, you have to serve as the cannon fodder, because that's what we find out that they actually are. That this Suicide Squad, Team A, is the diversion for Team B to take over. And Team B is, of course, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, King Shark, Polka Dot Man, and Ratcatcher 2. So they all arrive. And so let's kind of do a brief rundown of these characters as we go through them here. Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, has probably one of the coolest action suits I've seen that takes place. I don't know if you ever read any comics involving Bloodsport, but like his power is that he can manifest weapons. And so the fact that they incorporated that by having just an ultra high-tech suit that starts off with like some really cool, sophisticated weapons, and then slowly, as the movie progresses, gets more and more whittled down into what it is capable of. I thought that was a fun little touch for his character.
I did not notice that. I was not paying attention on that level, but I'll take your word for it there. That sounds dope.
Yeah, I don't know. Grimm?
Yeah, totally. The problem is it also reminded me a ton of the new Iron Man like nanobot suit, where the whole thing was just a mass you would slowly lose.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I was thinking like, just he should have an Iron Man suit at this point. Like, and if he has one, why doesn't everyone have this exact suit? Like, this suit could do a lot of good for a lot of people. But
that IP is owned by Marvel. So, yeah.
Oh no, we can't have anything that's similar to Marvel. That hasn't been the story for 80 fucking years.
Can't officially do the same thing. But like, have you seen that graphic going around Twitter where it's like who would win in a fight, Optimus Prime or Iron Man? And it's just like a tiny little fucking Iron Man. Sorry, buddy. I don't think you're gonna be able to stand up to that one.
No, he'll be okay. He'll survive. It'll be fine. Maybe, unless he gets caught drifting in space, or he doesn't have a drink in hand, so he gets the alcohol shakes. But it'll be okay. This character, by the way, of Bloodsport, was originally supposed to be Will Smith reprising his role as Deadshot. But then Will Smith, I forget what movie he was filming, but he wasn't able to do this movie. And so then that's kind of what made the way for Idris Elba to arrive. And then John Cena plays Peacemaker, who I think is the most Captain America parody that I've seen. Like, it seems like he's coming right out of like the 1980s Captain America grimy movie that was made, where he had the painted on ears on his helmet.
One?
No. That Dolph Lundgren one was the Punisher. I'm talking about the one that starred J.D. Salinger's kid.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He was
real
basically
piece of shit.
He was basically doing their version of Homelander in this one.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that it was a fun twist because, of course, having someone who is, that out there and that much a believer in peace and liberty, the line that's going viral right now, of course, of like, I will defend liberty. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to protect it. Just a good
Join
character
the
line.
resistance.
Originally the role was supposed to go to Dave Bautista, but Bautista was instead starring in another movie we've covered on Gigo, Army of the Dead. So specifically a question for Grift, but Grimm, of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this a better fit, or would you rather see the roles reversed?
I think it would have been really interesting to see him in he basically plays like the Homelander, but mashed up with the actual Captain America, because because Homelander, like, that character is just a fucking twisted, outwardly affected by his deep like sexual fetishes character. This was a much more like emotionally restrained version of that like all American killing machine that this sort of character is like sort of serving in these different like movies and series, because they're obviously poking fun at like American empire and our like ubiquitous violence around the world. But like to have that be Dave Bautista, who's like a he would come across as someone as like a Hispanic person in that role, which I think would do a lot more interesting things than, like, he was sort of a placeholder in Army of the Dead. Like, I feel like you could have swapped him out with someone else and it would have been given the same impression. But like, yeah, I think his actor in that role would probably lead to more talk and buzz than just sort of like John Cena doing Marvel quips and like standing in his underwear. Like, yeah.
hey, John Cena is looking good. It's nice to see, by the way, when like 2 years ago we were all ripping into John Cena when that photo of him in the polo and the jean shorts came out, and we were like, what the fuck? Why is he looking like this these days? Oh, it's for a movie he's doing. Okay, well, my apologies to my past comments that were made about John Cena's lack of style. Lot to learn, I think. Okay, let's see. Oh, King Shark, of course. Who doesn't love knockoff Groot, played by Sylvester Stallone? Congratulations. What a role.
Yeah, well, what if Groot ate people in their sleep? is
Yeah.
is
I
the
mean-
sort of R-rated DC twist on that Marvel premise.
You know, and I thought, you know, if you have the formula from Guardians of the Galaxy, no need to change it, you know? Like,
Yep.
let's not mess with it too much. One thing, this is a little bit polarizing, at least for me, was Polka Dot Man. How he has these new powers in the movie versus what he has in the comics. But he has a lot more mommy issues in this movie. And so I think it kind of counterbalances each other, in my thoughts. What do we think about this character?
I don't really have any other frame of reference for this guy. Like, this is the first time I've seen him appear in a piece of media. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
Grimm?
Yeah, I read him in the comics, and to be honest, I thought it was kind of for the screen. It was much better.
Yeah.
Like, I had so much fun with the faces being overlaid on top of everything as part of his illness.
yeah, that was great. Like that was something new they did there.
The fact of like, oh, it was hard for me to kill them until I viewed them all as my mom. Then it was easy. Just like, oh my God, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there in that. And then the smash cuts, of course, when he's in the jungle, sees everyone as his mom. The dance sequence from his perspective, where everyone is his mom. Then of course the climax where it's a giant 50-foot tall version of his mom. That poor actress, by the way. Like, what do you think the casting call was for that? Seeking middle-aged looking, just real bitch of a woman. just someone who looks like they're gonna fuck up their kid developmentally is what we're looking for.
Yeah, we're basically looking for the woman character model of all the women in like Far Side cartoons. Very, very unfortunate to be at a point in your life where you're answering those casting calls.
Hey, but it might open the door.
If you're doing it for the love of the game, then more power to you.
Again, it might open the door for a live action Courage of the Cowardly Dog movie, and then congratulations, you got your Muriel right there.
You could get digitally inserted into the Clifford movie whenever it comes off the shelf.
Oh, hey! They pulled it from the Cannes Film Festival, so I'm not sure. What their confidence in this movie is critical darling Clifford. So we'll see. That movie's gonna be a real piece of shit. I'm glad
we
that
better
we're
not fucking watch it. Yeah.
No. God, no.
We're turning the page, moving on to new seasons where Clifford, the possibility of watching Clifford isn't even on your mind.
That's right. That's famous last words we say as it then takes over. The number one grossing film of all time. Truly a revelation. Scorsese and Tarantino's number one film of 2022. Sweeping the Oscars. So the last character on the board, we have Ratcatcher 2, who is the child of Ratcatcher 1, who is played by Taika Waititi. So I guess that was the arrangement. Taika Waititi was like, I'll let you have my art director if you let me be in this movie instead.
Oh,
Come
totally.
on. Let's make it happen. Give me just a quick cameo. Let me show I can be a dramatic actor in vignettes as I'm a heroin addict.
Did you see all the people who were commenting on how amazing his improv was, supposedly?
No, I didn't.
It was
I did
very
not
clearly them trying to get in his next movie.
Great.
It was the best,
What improv?
Yeah, exactly.
I need to wonder. He doesn't have anything more than one line at the very end. And then it's like, wow, I love the way how you were able to, I don't know, cuddle with that 9-year-old girl, Taika Waititi. A lot of improv in that scene, huh? What's the story there?
Hey, respect
for the wilder
yeah.
people.
If it takes sending out an army of corporate bots on social media to praise someone's performance, I think you kind of got to respect that grift on some level.
I don't know, man. I just couldn't really get behind Ratcatcher 2. I forget her name in the film, but they call her Ratcatcher 2. I understand that she is kind of the heart and soul of the film, so to speak, but none of the pathos was really being sold on me. I wasn't able to really kind of resonate with me. Like when she's talking about how, and then I came to America, the land of opportunity, and then I immediately robbed a bank with rats and they put me away. Can you believe it? And I'm like, yeah, actually, I kind of can. Like you got fucking Javelin Man in Bell Rev, so why not you, person who can form a kaiju of rats, basically? You know,
she was the character they used to shit on like late millennials and Zoomers with, like, she sleeps all the time. She's fucking dirty, living in rats. Like she definitely killed. Like she say like, oh, it used to be me and my dad and the rats, and then her dad just disappears. Like she definitely killed him with the rats. Like,
no, he died of a heroin overdose.
Okay. No,
you saw that. He had the needle in his arm and all that, and
I think I was too focused on the rats. I'm just going to assume the rats were somehow involved.
No, I mean the rats definitely ate him. Let's be real about that. Yeah. There's a real reason that Sebastian guy, that rat is loyal to Ratcatcher 2. You have a blood oath, like, I'm sorry for eating your dad. I'm so sorry.
Blood bonded. Making a blood bond over like eating your dad's flesh.
It's fucking brutal. So then we get to the scene, of course, of where the Team B, they have to go into the forest to go rescue Rick Flag, and as previously mentioned, there's the whole sequence of them going into a camp and just killing everyone pretty silently. Just in brutal ways, just shooting them, lighting them on fire, poison blow darts, hacking them to bits in their sleep, all that fun stuff. It's what a way to go, right?
Yeah, they're probably never going to answer to The Hague on this one. And it's funny because it's never really addressed in the script. Like obviously it's played for humor, but it's also like what they're doing is just like straight up massacring civilians on behalf of like a U.S. government agency. So
exactly, because they got bad intel and they thought that they were enemy combatants, but instead they killed probably 10, 12 people. All of a sudden in a camp, people who have lives and families. If only like there was like a consequence that could be coming from this action.
Yeah, I wonder what other conflicts in history were engaged with by the U.S. and sold to people through bad intel. What turned out to be.
I don't know what comparisons you could be drawing, and it's okay. That's why we don't need to be thinking about the other big thing, the 1980s Project Starfish that is taking place on the island. No, not at all. Actually, probably before I get into that, let's talk about Harley Quinn a little bit. Because she kind of disappeared for a bit of this movie. She pops back up because she's taken prisoner, and then she goes and she visits the president. She basically gets like her own mini movie in the middle of this thing. Did y'all get that impression as well?
Yeah, it felt like a short they wanted to do somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it's plot armor in the best possible way because she is able to survive. Not getting shot by the soldiers, then she survives by being in the pit. Then the president wants to meet her, so then she survives that way. She then is able to hang out with him the whole day and have a couple of fun, light, lovey sequences. And then she just straight up kills the president of this country because she has bad boyfriend issues. That she saw a lot of red flags in this guy.
Yeah,
she saw the David Foster Wallace books on the shelf.
Yeah, he had a Bukowski poem on his desk. Really went out of its way to endorse and codify traits of the toxic female. So James Gunn, do better.
I mean, it was interesting to see, especially with her action sequence as she's doing her escape. just it highlighted the fact that she is kind of crazy and that she does have this mental break from reality where like the blood becomes flowers, becomes animated birds and things like that that is surrounding her.
When she's like gunning down all of the soldiers, she's just like pooping flowers. They're just like coming out her back end, just propelling her down while she's like machine gunning these guys down.
I wasn't going to use the word pooping. I was going to say it's like a Louisiana pontoon boat with the water kicking up, but it's flowers instead. Yeah. To each their own, though.
She was, it was spraying out from her from behind.
I mean, it just kind of was one of those things of where I think they were trying to keep Margot Robbie happy because the last thing they want is to upset Margot Robbie because then they wouldn't have any of that sweet Harley Quinn merchandise.
Yeah, like, well, she was a character, her character is well established within the DC universe because it's relatively popular and it's made money for them. So like that's the one that they keep around. Like if from the original Suicide Squad, like if another character had been the hit, that's the one that would be getting included in the reboots 5 years later.
You hear that,
like,
Jai Courtney? You thought Captain Boomerang was a successful hit. Not big enough, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, like imagine like they thought he initially thought that they were bringing him back for the whole movie because of how popular his character was, and then just gets murked in the first scene. And then just
oh my god!
Finding that out.
I think she was created, by the way, in the animated series. I think it's the same deal there.
Yeah. So
she just became a hit, and they were like, "Oh, I guess we're gonna put this in the comics then."
Yeah, I mean, and again, I do like a lot of the Harley Quinn aspects to it. One thing I'm still waiting on the DCEU to do is to highlight that Harleen Quinzel is not actually her real name. That's just the name that she believes that she had because that's what Joker told her real name actually was, and so like she has a very normal like real name. At least that's what's been explored in the comics, and so I would like to see that level of kind of analysis being taken forward with the character in terms of like digging a little deeper into the trauma beyond like, oh man, I had a real bad boyfriend. That's why I got to kill this guy because. I think who could imagine what our worlds would have been like together? It just felt a little too surface level, at least.
Yeah, a lot of the movie felt like it was made and produced around memeable gifs, and I feel like Harley Quinn saying like, "Yeah, I've started a new process of just murdering anyone who gives me a red flag." That really felt like that was meant to be a memeable
that's
gif.
going to be in a lot of Twitter bios.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of
fine text,
Tinder
copy.
profiles.
Oh my god, yeah. People are removing the Cruella quotes and putting in the Harley Quinn quotes as we speak.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Cruella, like, like obviously like to return to shows that or like things that we've done on this show before. Like there's no way Cruella gets greenlit by Disney if the Harley Quinn character in DC like wasn't like one of the only successes from that first Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah.
There's no way she even has like, I mean, my God. Yeah. I shudder to think at what other projects Emma Stone would do with Disney. Probably like Maleficent 3 or something instead. Oh, well. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying like, what are some other classic evil Disney villains who are women who you could do like a sympathetic anti-hero
Minnie
movie
Mouse.
About. Yeah,
that's right.
the mom from Cinderella.
I'm your evil and hot stepmother. Oh no. Disney going for the hard R rating.
Yeah, well, that's why DC is going to do that one. Yeah, they're gonna rip off that IP.
The next objective that the Suicide Squad has is, of course, capturing the Thinker, who is the guy who's in charge of Project Starfish, and that's played by Peter Capaldi in probably the best kind of bald wig. Of where it just clearly looks like a wig, and it also has a bunch of light bulbs sticking out of it. So good times all the way through. What did we think about him? I thought he was killing it. Just cash those checks, man.
Yeah, pretty much. I do enjoy that the main bad guy in the eyes of the United States foreign military apparatus is a guy who's known as the Thinker. That is kind of inherently funny.
Well, I would love to see like what Ben Shapiro has to say about this movie.
They're really engaging in tropes there. The whole Project Jotunheim, I think was the code name for the or that was the tower name, right? Of the base there. It was funny because obviously this Cordo Maltese country, it's supposed to be a stand-in for Cuba, but Cuba wasn't actually the one like developing the nuclear weapons, which is like the obvious metaphor parallel if we're going with that like historical comparison. Like they were like it was like a combination of the classic the evil dictator a la Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi or someone is developing weapons, but let's put it on Cuba. Like let's put it on let's put it on the island in the Caribbean with a revolutionary military dictatorship.
I don't know, or maybe being what is it, France that was doing all the nuclear testing in the Philippines? Whoops, sorry, our bad.
Yeah.
On that, here's $36 and a pat on the back. Don't get too much fallout from it. Y'all will be fine. It was, I think, kind of the first sign that maybe there might be other factors at play. So that then, as the Thinker is guiding the team into the laboratory. And then the big reveal is that it's actually, Project Starfish is the giant Starro the Conqueror. And instead, it's the U.S. that's been funding this project. And so they're not really there to stop it so much as to get rid of any evidence of U.S. involvement in this. And so I see like a lot of people that are talking about like, oh man, this movie is so based and like this movie has great politics. And, I do think that, I don't know how to put it exactly, but I think that although that might be true, it seems to be incredibly surface level. Like, oh, wow, the government has a bad international foreign policy? Who could have known? Whoa, that's so groundbreaking. It's been a thing for a while now.
Yeah, like the U.S. deep state is conducting foreign operations and doesn't care about loss of life. Like, what a revolutionary message there. And like, it's just like at this point, we've seen these, very surface level criticisms of U.S. hegemony and empire, like just over and over again in these media productions. So it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it has good politics. And I would totally agree with you. Like they're definitely very surface level and weren't saying anything new and like propagating some narratives that I'm sure if I throw my like panopticon meter on, I would be giving several eyeballs.
Well, I mean, and the thing especially I would want to mention is that before we start praising this movie for its good politics, we should probably analyze the fact that HBO Max has already greenlit the John Cena-led, James Gunn-directed Peacemaker TV series that is going to be taking place. And so I have a feeling that we're probably going to get an idea of like, oh, look at how ridiculous it is, but he will still be our protagonist that we will empathize with. And so we'll actually find out that like sometimes you got to do the bad, dirty work to make it all possible, that you got to compromise. You can't be such an idealist all the time.
It's interesting because I think we were talking about it a little before, but they're playing this like double game with his character where they're saying very surface level criticisms, like of the sort of Hippocratic, like double speak of that justifies American power and American empire, like with the quote that's getting memed a bunch that you mentioned earlier. But at the same time, he's this like sort of very emotionally cut and dried Captain America figure who is relatively sanitized enough that you could make like an entire almost like feel good TV show about.
And you could, which is, and this kind of ties right into the next plot development here, that we find out that Peacemaker is under secret orders to cover up America's involvement, and Flag gets upset, saying that he doesn't want to be a pawn of the country and is trying to release the hard drive evidence. And so Peacemaker ends up killing Rick Flag. I think, though, that a better twist would have been if Peacemaker said, "What? That can't be the case. we need to release this to the public." Like, he's so dogmatic, but it's to liberty first and then to country. And then you could have Rick Flag be the one who then says, actually, I'm part of a failsafe. Should anything happen, that we need to blah blah blah.
We've seen that plot conundrum used in like the original Watchmen, book.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's
just
the
felt
same.
like
there's like nothing new there. Like,
I just felt like it was cowardice to then not have Rick Flag turn into the secondary villain. But I think it would have been an interesting twist to have.
Yeah.
Or just both of them.
Well, I mean, you gotta still have them fight each other. Come on now. Like, how are they gonna fight each other?
Well,
Grimm?
I can fight everyone else.
We gotta
that's what
sell
I'm
the
saying.
action figures, Grimm. That's how it works. Come on now.
Yeah,
Don't be ridiculous.
We need them both to fight in a bathroom, like the end of Batman versus Superman. When you got those.
It's the same soundstage. They just green tinted it instead.
Yeah. we got those two strapping male characters, it seems like they always want to make them fight in bathrooms.
They find out they have the same mom's name as Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, her name is Karen.
Of course. So yeah, I get it. I thought that might be a slight improvement, especially with the fact that then we are going to be getting a Peacemaker TV show anyway. That then you might as well then just kind of have him suddenly become quasi-sympathetic. If then in the very next scene you're going to have Rick Flag get into a Western style gunfight against Peacemaker. So it's fine. It is what it is, I guess. I did like the callback in about smaller bullets. That was a solid writing line. I wasn't expecting it to come back to that in that way, but it did. So I got to give credit where credit's due.
The thing about Chekhov's bullets is you forget about them until they're actually shot.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Chekhov's gun. No one ever talks about Chekhov's bullets. Huh? The real important stuff here that's taking place. So yeah, Starro, of course, is able to break out as the explosives that they were setting up all around go off, but only go off about halfway. So then the Thinker dies, and Starro starts attacking all of the army. Peacemaker ends up getting shot. So then Waller ends up informing the squad that actually their mission is now over. It's time for them to fly home, which I'm not sure how they were going to get picked up with a giant starfish monster going around the island, but I guess there's a way to get them retrieved.
Yeah, the government will protect their assets now after the operation has been completed, and there's still need to protect the civilians from the giant kaiju they've unleashed. But no, it's not part of the mission. If it's not officially on the docket, it does not go in the show.
I mean, the other important thing, too, is that the kaiju is wrecking all of the less well-off parts of town. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it
felt like they needed to establish it wasn't as rich as the palace area. And that's why they had to do it, is just to show this, Cuba's not a paradise. There are poor neighborhoods kind of thing.
Yeah. Don't you hate how all those Corto Maltesans have universal health care and have already developed their own vaccine and a cure for lung cancer? Oh man, I hate that so much.
Yeah, when you think about it, the more that I'm hearing, you guys talk about it, this feels like SOS Cuba, the movie.
Yeah.
Right? It was time to come out just as this thing, which fake amplification of the Cuban anti-government counter protest. It felt like the same timeline as with Venezuela, with the Tom Clancy Amazon series. Like,
oh my God.
There were both like, attempts, like military buildup on the ground and media pressure put on these countries, but done in a very like haphazard way compared to the way these like international intelligence operations used to go down. Like in like the 50s and 60s, like US was just overthrowing countries left and right. And now like you have the whole like rollout time with, you got your show coming out on the streaming service that's echoing these events that are going to be that are going to be amplified through our media channels at this time, but you just keep seeing them like failing. Like Venezuela, nope, they couldn't overthrow Maduro. These like SOS Cuba protests, like they were able to like show a couple of fake pictures and rallies for a couple days, but it was never going to like break through on the level of like some sort of like popular uprising at this point.
Well, that's why we need James Gunn to get in there. Start talking about how, yeah, we gotta do some good old fashioned God-fearing Americanisms. They also don't have any like fun with the parallels between Corto Maltese and the U.S. because they make a big point of telling you about how these, the El Presidente is putting every dissenting journalist in prison. Which it's meant to be framed as, wow, this is really, really bad. But then you look at the American side, and to prevent dissenting like reporters from having material, they're just genociding an entire island. Well, yeah, but we're the good guys.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. There's no fun there. There could be fun, and they didn't explore that.
And maybe they will with the TV show. Again, I don't think they will, though. I don't think that their politics are going to hold up that good over an 8-episode series. But another point for this movie that I begrudgingly have to give it is that I hate sky beams so much. I hated how the last Suicide Squad ended with a fucking sky beam. And so the fact that we don't get a sky beam, but instead we have Starro be like this bizarre kaiju that shoots out little mini versions of itself that latch onto people's faces and gives it like a zombie quality. That's pretty original. Like as a third act villain, I'll give him credit for that.
Wow. The bad guy is an entity that makes everyone see things the same way and act as a community, like some kind of communism, if you will.
Oh no!
And it spreads through infection from a host coming past. They at one point, I think Harley Quinn's like, cover your face, and then at another point, a character is like, whatever you do, like just don't like cough without putting your like hand in front of it or your arm in front of it. Like you could definitely see the couple moments of COVID media psyop there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously it's going to naturally reflect whatever time it was made in, but it's like I've seen over and over again in movies that come out, there's like, oh, they insert this little bit about, oh, we have hand sanitizer here, or we're covering our face, or we're like wearing, like resisting viral infection this way. So I
almost guarantee you though, there. Like in the same way though, it also kills off a whole like subgenre of movie. If they're like, well, how are they going to distribute the virus? No one's ever going to come up with the subplot of, well, they're just going to hide it in, I don't know, flu vaccines. Like no one, plot point that they would be like, oh, well, that's so ridiculous. Of course we can use that. Like, no, they're going to be like, nope.
They did it in that one comic movie or show that crossed over from the UK to the US. I think it was called Utopia. And that was like the plan. And that like, it was very unfortunate. Amazon dropped the entire season at the very beginning of COVID, if I remember correctly. And the entire plot is about like a fake flu to get everyone to get vaccinated with the government's real like genetic, like literally to, I think it was like ethnic cleansing. Like people would just die.
And you're saying that this dropped at the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, like March or April, I think.
Weird. Almost like they were warning us about something.
Well, yeah. Did you see the thing about I Am Legend? People keep citing I Am Legend for why they're not taking the vaccine, because they're like, oh yeah, well, in I Am Legend, it started with a vaccine.
Oh, I didn't see that, but that's actually kind of cool. Also, kind of like they miss the point of what I Am Legend is but that's fine, I guess. You know,
I mean,
it's okay.
like,
I personally would like to be a cool rave vampire person. Like that sounds pretty fucking sweet to me. Because you know, if we're talking about like the book version, right, an Omega Man version, or
the I Am Legend, though. Richard Matheson, I think, was the author. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, the one version of like the 3 that exist in that Will Smith movie, I guess. You know,
isn't there like that Michael Bay movie coming out too, where it's just like
it already came out, Grift. It's on
it
Hulu.
already came out? Oh,
it's called Songbird.
Oh,
that's right.
So they just, you know, no one cared about it.
It's like
feel
COVID
that would've been
28 or something.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like, you know, people, the people afraid of more lockdowns and COVID control. I feel like they would latch onto that as a media property.
Whenever the next like big like ramp up happens, and then like the next big whole like, well, we need to shut everything down discussion occurs, then maybe we can work on covering that movie as it being topical.
So that'll be next week.
yeah, I'm gonna say like that's being rolled out like right now.
See, again, my Texas bias is showing. Like we are nowhere near that level over here in Texas, especially in Houston. I mean, people aren't even social distancing on the highway right now.
Yeah,
so.
you live in one of those free red states.
Yeah, get her done, brother. It's okay. We definitely love the fact that everyone's flocking here and then bitching about how we don't have infrastructure because we don't have a state tax. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, they're just fleeing California to get away from all those like PSAs coming out from celebs being like, we don't wash our kids and you shouldn't either.
We're gonna find out like a month from now. There's just a guy and he's been selling like some kind of skincare regime to convince all these stars to not bathe, and it's just they're just running a racket just like Raw Water did.
Oh, I see. That's a much better theory than mine, which is that celebs already have access to sonic showers, like from Star Trek, and they're just not telling us. And so they're like, "Yeah, no, what? We don't bathe our children at all. What?" And then instead, they just are doing this other thing.
Yeah, Grimm. They're using a new product called Body Douche.
I think that also is the alternative name for John Cena's character, probably.
That would be a great name.
Body Douche.
So as this third act is building, Polka Dot Man is, of course, able to weaken Starro because he envisions Starro as his bomb. And just Polka Dot Man's powers just really kind of seem to be a real issue. I legitimately thought, because, of course, he ends up getting squished, I thought that his suit was going to malfunction as he like got ate by Starro or something, and it was going to blow up Starro from the inside. That's what I thought was going to happen.
I liked how they gave him that little moment where he shot all the polka dots and it paid off, and he's like, "I'm a superhero now," and then gets immediately crushed.
That is entirely his fault. You know the movie you're in. Do not brag about yourself in any way. It is a death sentence.
Yeah, this irony poison vehicle is coming for your ass.
Oh man. So Star was, of course, weakened, and then that's when Harley Quinn decides to perform eye surgery on Starro, for lack of a better word, and plunge ye oldie trusty javelin right into the eye, just like she was a French whaler almost, and just rips into it, and then a horde of rats end up following her, and then they're all drowning and dying, and then chewing, and it's all bloody and weirdly beautifully shot. It was one of those notes I had where I was like, if I just saw this out of context, I would think like, what odd beach scene is going on with all these rats chewing coral? What's happening here? But no, instead it was pretty horrifying.
Yeah, mini rats in your eye. That's like one of the worst ways you could go out.
Multitudes of rats just going inside. I don't know. It doesn't seem good. So then, of course, the Suicide Squad, they win. Castaro dies. The Corto Maltese military coup is re-overthrown, and the people take control. They're able to have their first free election in 90 years. Oh, wow. I wonder what other country has been under strict regime change and a close South American island close to the U.S. that the U.S. has had issue with for almost 90 years.
Yeah, this is absolutely why this movie came out when it did, because they expected in the intelligence community's like sort of like plan, then the counter government protests would have taken off, and then this would have only fueled the mindset of the American people to support American intervention. But they don't have the same magic. They can't really pull off those tricks anymore. So by now the Cuban protests have fizzled out, and sort of like this movie's released at the time it does just remains to us to like, pick over the bones here.
We're about a week away from seeing like some GIs with starfish on their face and calling it Havana syndrome.
Yeah. The Gusano strain.
That's a slur, sir.
Yeah. Go search Gusano at grift.shop. All proceeds, all profits benefit the COVID response hampered by the embargo.
Hell yeah. So, the movie then kind of very quickly wraps up. Bloodsport uses the drive as a bargaining chip for Waller to release the surviving members of the Suicide Squad. So, yay, they can all spin off into whatever movies they want. And then they get airlifted out of Corto Maltese. So, huzzah, that the movie is over, all the tangents aside. So now we get to the rating system of how many trash cans. I'll also add, is there anyone you want to see back in the sequel? Grift, I'm going to throw it to you first.
I'd actually be interested to see what angles that Peacemaker TV series takes, because there could be potential for some good satire and however much a movie's political takes actually matters. You could, it could move things in the right direction. But so like he's probably the breakout character just from those memes that are floating around about him doing these quips about critiquing American empire. Even though I think we probably established that this movie does anything but, and if it does it on the most like surface level. Level. So I'd say like as a movie, like for as far as like cape shit goes, I'd say like this is like a 1 trash can for me. Like I actually enjoyed this. I thought it was a good use of the merger of the DC aesthetics and visuals with the Marvel sort of script writing and character beats and the style there. But as far as like the panopticon meter goes, I'm giving this 3.5 eyeballs. Just the timing with the SOS Cuba thing is just too suspect. And
I do appreciate this through line that has been pulled from this. This is great. So it works out incredibly well. Grimm, what about yourself?
You know what? I would honestly go all the way up to 3.
Hell yeah.
I had a big problem with so many different problems. A big one was like the mookification of all the baddies. Is once they got past that very first scene, there was zero threat from any baddie ever. And when they're going through that camp in the beginning and the whole silent thing, it felt very weird. No one was actually spotting them, it all just felt weird. No one was a real person other than the president and the general and the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you there. Like when you think about it, the only people they fought were just either unarmed civilians or soldiers that like didn't know how to use their weapons. Like they would just sort of stand there and get acted on. Like
I almost think it's like an editing thing. Like they didn't have enough they had like longer than normal reaction times, if that makes sense. It felt very odd.
I think part of that was James Gunn trying to lean into the comic book aesthetic, and so where then like each frame of the splash page, if you will, of the scene lingers for about a second longer probably than it should. because he's trying to have it be that colorful bit of imagery. For me, I gave this 2 trash cans, so I'm right down in the middle between y'all. Again, I think the mechanics of it are all very solid. I think that there's a lot of positive things to this particular movie, but I really do think that this is the first roller coaster style superhero ride of a movie that DC has figured out how to make. And so I think that now that the formula has been made, we're going to see a bunch of different versions of it start to creep up and take place. And so I think it's going to inspire a lot of 3 and 4 trash can movies in the future. Most notably, of course, being The Rock starring as Black Adam in the Black Adam movie that is directed by the guy who did Jungle Cruise. So congrats, everyone. We get to look forward to that.
It's just, how many more of these movies can they make? Like, it's just...
I got real sad news for you, Griff.
I know, but it's just fucking ridiculous. Like, when are people going to get sick of this shit?
I mean, how long are they going to keep on being like 14-year-olds? Because,
Well, and also how they only have to go on for so long before that's all movies are. And there's an entire generation who hasn't been raised with movies other than that as kind of the mainstream. Like, that's something to keep in mind.
It's going to be like Westerns, where everything eventually became Westerns, and then finally,
yes,
we were able to break free of the mold of Westerns, but it wasn't all at once. Eventually, it was just like, well, and then now there's one non-Western, then 2, then 3, then 4, etc. But yeah, it's a brutal landscape right now. So I'm glad that we can close out this season of the show talking about this movie. It's a pretty nice note to end on. Of course, we'll be back next week with a slightly revised format. We'll be explaining all of that to y'all next week. So there's a quick teaser for that. But let's get into plugs right now. Grimm, what is going on in your world?
Well, I'm working on The Greatest Depression. Mike, it's going to be a targeted podcast with a focus on each episode going in a deep dive in something in the Great Depression. It's looking like the first episode, which is going to be the first one completely researched, is going to be on the bonus army. Since that's such a popular topic, people kind of are vaguely aware of it, but I'm going to get you in an hour. You're going to be an expert on the bonus army. That's my goal.
Oh,
perfect.
Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely looking forward to checking that out. And that's just such an incredibly relevant topic now that, it seems like we're sort of heading into similar territory. I can't really think of a popular media source that really tells people that story in a digestible way. So I think that could really serve a purpose there.
Yep, that's going to be the focus, and it's the whole goal is going to be making it digestible and really compact. I do not want to do a 3-hour straight episode that is just me ranting. There's going to be some production involved.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm
awesome.
Definitely going to put that one on my list for sure.
Very cool. And then Grift, what's happening in the shop? What's upcoming next?
We got the Fed Post collab currently out. If you see the shop, it has been transformed into the Fed shop. So you can go check that out on the main page and in the pop-up shop. I think we'll probably run this one a couple weeks. People nice. Seem to be really liking the Richard Nixon in a kufi design. We're doing some revisionist history. He did nothing wrong. There's some overlap with the Caucasian worshippers of Cuba. We're probably gonna have that up there for a little while. So yeah, grift.shop, check it out.
Hell yeah, dude. Again, alternative history. It's always a good thing. For the actual podcast itself, of course, you can find us on Twitter and Letterboxd at Gigo Podcast. Also, if you want to Check us out on TikTok. I think I found like a new posting formula that isn't going to be successful, but it at least is going to be slightly creatively fulfilling there. So find us there at Gigo Podcast, Gigo Podcast. Follow us on Spotify if you're not already following us there. We are so close to 100 followers on Spotify, and it would mean the world because that is the metric that only matters to me. 5-star reviews on iTunes are good, but followers on Spotify are even better. With that in mind, I am happy to close the book on this season. Looking forward to starting off next week. Let's say goodbye, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.